is under the category of, I bet you didn't know this was going on. Brisbane's fast becoming a hub for cutting-edge industry, and one company leading the charge is BOSSCAP. It's an Australian-owned business. It's revolutionising commercial electric vehicles, and they've been quietly building something really special here in southeast Queensland, supplying electric utes that are tough enough for our terrain, for the mining industry, and also helping businesses who purchase them to lower emissions and future-proof their fleets. Government and commercial sectors, they're pushing people to decarbonise, but BOSSCAP is not waiting around. It has electric 4x4s ready now, not years down the track, and it's creating jobs, manufacturing jobs. I don't know how they can do it. Eddie Kocwa is the CEO of BOSSCAP, and he joins me. Good to see you, Eddie.
Oh, hi, Gary. Thank you.
I mean, that's pretty amazing. I thought people weren't making stuff in Australia anymore, but you're taking the number one ute 4x4, if you like, out of North America, and you're turning it into an Australian drivable vehicle. Amazing.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we've got to remember that majority of the world is not right-hand drive. So we don't get access to all the vehicles that are in the market. So while it's not competitive to fully manufacture in Australia, what we can do is value add. And that's exactly what we do. Bring vehicles in, remanufacture them to right-hand drive, supply them in Australia and other right-hand drive markets.
And so you're using the American tech and applying it to Australia. So it's the Ford, the electric 150, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's the Ford
Lightning.
F-150. Now, Ford, the F-150 in America has been, the highest seller amongst all vehicle categories for nearly 50 years.
Wow.
It's tried, proven, used by US defense, used in the mining sector over there, used by emergency services. So it's tried and proven. You can get parts at Walmart. It's the main vehicle for Ford over there. They decided to bring out an electric version in 2022. The engineering on that is world class. So we decided that's the vehicle. If it's not going to be Toyota in Australia, you need a reliable vehicle, and that's the one we picked, and that's what we bring to Australia now.
I've had a look at how you do it in the sense of how easy it seems to me, but it's taken a bit of work. You've been around the automotive industry and people working for you have been around the automotive sector for a long time. Was the regulation, the rules, and all the stuff associated with it really complex?
Yes, very, very difficult, and automotive is probably the most regulated industry you could get into. If I had my time again 12 years ago, I probably would have picked something easy like developing, but sorry to the developers out there. But it's a tough industry, but if you do it right, there's great opportunity.
Okay, so electric vehicles, who are you selling them to? These are 4x4, so they're built obviously for mining operations and for regional areas.
They're built for fleets. So like the F-150, F-150 Lightning Pro is a fleet spec vehicle. So the customers, and why we've brought it in is primarily for the resource sector. There's 100,000 light vehicles in the resource sector. They turn over 20,000 a year, and they need to decarbonise. And with Australia being a spread out environment, the retail capability for an electric ute is not really there. But for mines that are operating at one site and the vehicle's driving around on a site where they can charge easily, this works for them. They need to decarbonise. They've got the safeguard mechanism, and we're here to provide a solution.
So people beating a path to your door?
Look, the mining sector's definitely reached out, and we've got vehicles now on site in the Pilbara, now in Queensland as well, and we've been very happy there. We've had private enterprise, for example, Brisbane Airport have already electrified their runway. They've got F-150 Lightnings on the runway. They wanted obviously to go carbon neutral by 2025, and they also have concerns with the SOCI Act, which I'll probably get into a bit later. But yeah, private industry has been good. What we've been a bit lacking on is government. We probably would have liked to seen some governments reach out, but haven't had much luck to date.
Well, this SOCI Act, this Security of Critical Infrastructure, so this is an act which governs the fact that whatever you do there has got to actually make sure that other people aren't listening in. You're using American tech. Okay.
Yes, so we're using F-150 Lightning from America. We disconnect the over-the-air updates. Okay, we disconnect the over-the-air updates because we're taking it one more step. You can't even be certain that the Americans right now don't have Chinese or foreign actor tech in their vehicles. So we disconnect the over-the-air updates. So it's a SOCI compliant vehicle. So fleets don't have to worry about that because it's up for interpretation, but companies that are party to the SOCI Act, they cannot be adding extra risk into their operations. And we've seen this with the Huawei cameras. They all had to be removed out of certain facilities.
Doorbell cameras is another one that seems to be coming up as well in recent times. So the trouble is there's eyes and ears, isn't there, in a lot of these electric vehicles? You've got to know where it's going.
Well, eyes and ears and also data, you know. Does this person drive from here to there, and what do they do on their usual route? Is that information we really want, out there and not in our control? To us, we think that's very important. I would hate to think, in a time of crisis that a number of vehicles can just be turned off, or data's been tracked, or conversations have been heard. The government can make simple, and they already have with the SOCI Act, make simple corrections now, just to make sure that we're not in a spot of bother in 5 or 10 years' time.
Okay, so that SOCI compliance, security of critical infrastructure, that's important. But the idea of actually getting these cars, these utes, 4x4s, however you want to express it, out and about in the hands of government's been reluctant. You're saying government organisations aren't rushing to your door.
Oh, it has been very slow and very tough to get them out. They've got where do I start? In the procurement sector, or the procurement requirements, saying you have a Australian ABN classifies you as being Australian. So large multinationals can sneak in that way and get in. They want to see local component. So by a dealership having a dealer in Cairns, even though the vehicle's imported from overseas, that gets through that little loophole. And generally the fleet departments, they're not coming out for visits. We get the mining sector coming out for visits, but local governments or state governments specifically, it's very hard to get them out. And which I think is not fair, because there's a big push for Australian manufacturing, and our vehicles, about half of the revenue stays in Australia. So even if the vehicles cost a little bit more, which they don't, even if they cost a little bit more, the net benefit for Australia is massive. And we want to have some capability here. We don't want to just import stuff. We need some industry.
Oh, well, that's the point, though. Having seen your operation, it's the life of vehicle and the cost that people can work that out. But there's even components made here in Brisbane getting fitted into these, foreign-sourced vehicles for Australian conditions. Even local small manufacturers are contributing to this.
We made the journey about 5 years ago to onshore all of our supply. Okay, so what you see at the factory is our workers there, but indirectly, our wiring harnesses are made locally, our plastics are shot locally. Everything we can is now done in Australia, and that's just that's come at a cost. But we're proud to support the industry here. So the net benefit, it just flows on and flows on.
But wouldn't it be cheaper to get it from overseas, wouldn't it?
You know what? It depends if you've got a long or short-term view. It is cheaper if you're not worried about the reliability of the product. But we've seen during COVID, supply chains can be cut and you can't depend on it. And also corners get cut with materials. In Australia, you got a certain standard of quality, and you can go and inspect the factory, and that's important.
Yeah, so your factory's at Brendale.
Yep.
And as I said, I've had a look through. It's impressive. How many people you got working there?
Close to 100.
So that's 100 local people involved in vehicle repurposing, because you're improving. You're taking the base product, the best-selling 4x4 in North America for 50 years, and turning it into an Australian vehicle.
That's exactly right. And also the upfitting, like when they go to the mines, it's not just taking the base vehicle. Mine specking, trays, all that, all happens here.
Yeah, so that takes a big commitment. I want to talk to you further about it. I just got to go to the news, so just stand there and wait. Well, not sit there. You can sit there. Eddie Kocwa from BOSSCAP. We're going to come back and have a talk to him a bit further in just a moment. 5 to 5, we're in conversation with Eddie Kocwa. He's the CEO of BOSSCAP. Now, this is a company based at Brendale. I find this extraordinary. They are really revolutionising commercial electric vehicles. Let's face it, we've got heaps of electric cars on the road these days. They seem to be everywhere, and some brands know better than others. This is taking the Ford F-150 Lightning, massive brand in northern America, and making it available for Australian conditions, right-hand drive. You can do all that conversion. You've got 100 people working for you. I mean, this is a story I don't think people know about. Eddie, why aren't state governments buying it? That's what I don't know why governments aren't buying these vehicles. It's frightening. You're selling them to everybody else except us.
It's one of the most disappointing thing is our first order was to the United Nations in Samoa. So we transacted with the United Nations and yet to transact with a council, state government, or federal government.
So the United Nations said we need right-hand drive electric vehicles, box tick, box tick, box tip, and you guys provided it. New Zealand, Indonesia, is that right? All those
Yeah, just Samoa. So through
Samoa.
Samoa, and then it's going to roll out through the rest of the Pacific. These vehicles have been used not only as EVs, but to back up the power grid over there where it's unstable.
Oh, okay. So it becomes, if you like, a power source.
Yes, a power source, and our engineering team made sure that you don't have to pull up to a house that's already set up and compatible. They put the gear on top of in the vehicle already, so you just pull up anywhere, plug in, and run a house.
So this is the sort of thing, like we've just had those dreadful floods and cyclones and everything up north. If these sorts of vehicles were available, they could have actually powered people's homes.
Yes, we've tried very hard with Q Fleet, and they've been out a couple of times, but zero engagement or vehicle orders. We could have helped drastically with the disasters up north, drastically.
So you can sell them to the United Nations, but
Yeah.
not to Australian governments.
Yeah, so let's go to Queensland government. They've got a mandate by 2026 to have all EVs in their passenger fleet. So we're in Queensland, box tick. Clean green vehicles, box tick. Australian manufacturing, box tick. Improving the trade surplus with the United States, box tick. SOCI compliant, which they should be a party to, box tick. Can't buy a vehicle. I don't know what else. What else do you do? We're just going to import vehicles for the rest of our lives from overseas.
Yeah, that have got tech that's designed overseas, and heaven knows what it's doing while it's here as well.
It's honestly frustrating. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to see members of parliament promoting, multinationals EVs that are flooding our market and not coming out to see us. We've got an open invite to any MP.
Okay, and you've had a few out there, I guess.
We have. Both sides have come out. They've started coming out, but it's taken a lot of work. We shouldn't have these big, government relations departments that all these multinationals have to try and get engagement with the government. A small business should be able to reach out and they come out. It's tough.
So what's next? What's your plans? Where does BOSSCAP go to next?
Well, we supply the mining sector. We get cranking there. We start exporting around the world. We've got conversations with Africa at the moment. So we start doing that, and then we look for the next product. Okay, and
well, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, we'll wait and see.
So as you say, you're talking to other places that have right-hand drive. That's what you're saying.
Yes, we're big about exporting. Okay, exporting. I personally, that what drives me. Right now, Australia is just a big mine, okay? And I'd like to see Australia do other things. So if we can bring product in, value add, and export, that excites me, and that's what I'm trying to do.
And I guess that's the key point, just to reiterate. You're bringing it in from the United States, so you are actually helping save these are my words, aluminium and steel industry, because Donald Trump's fiddling around with tariffs. Yep. We're actually, you're building the trade surplus. We're buying from the US.
We've probably contributed $200 million over the years towards that trade surplus. Little company in Brendale. No outside money.
How come nobody knows about this till now?
I'm not sure.
You're too busy doing it.
We haven't promoted it. We honestly haven't promoted it. We've just had our head down and just worked 12 years. Put our head down and just worked.
Yeah, and what sort of dollars are we talking? You put a lot of money into it.
Well, started with the $10,000 I saved up, and my friend from school is my business partner. We just worked as hard as we could. Got it to the point it is today.
Okay, 100 people working for you using Queensland-based, Brisbane-based suppliers of the elements in the improvement that you do to the vehicle to upgrade
and
it.
Design work as well. You've got to remember the engineering capability. The universities, over the last year alone, we've done 150 tours. Okay, so that's not to make money. That's just 150 tours, hour and a half every couple of days, or sometimes 2 or 3 a day, showing people the process, telling them about lean manufacturing.
So do we see them on the road? Do people see them driving around the streets of Brisbane, these F-150 Lightnings?
There's a few retail sales, but mainly it's the commercial. Some of them are hidden away in the Pilbara, so the average person's probably not going to see it. You might look at Brisbane Airport. You'll see on the runway when you're on the plane, you'll see them running around the airport. And some energy companies, private ones up north. But hopefully we get some government work soon enough. Powerlink would be a great customer.
I'm hearing you. All right, well, keep us posted anyway, because I think it's really important that we back small business every day, but also back the idea that there's a bit of ingenuity and a bit of investment that needs to be, really realised and recognised. And It's frustrating. The United Nations understands what you're doing, but Australian governments don't. It makes no sense to me. Nice to talk to you. Good to see you.
I appreciate the platform. It means a lot to
Yeah, well
me
done.
and also all our workers. Really
Yeah,
appreciate
no, well done to all of them too. Eddie Kocwa from BOSSCAP. It's small factory, but they're pumping out dozens and dozens of these. I think they do about 3 a day. I think it's the number, isn't it?
At the moment, we can ramp it up.
Ramp it up. They can do 3 a day. That is just hand-on tool, hand-on car, and hand-on vehicle that's just making a difference.